everyone. Welcome back to SEP, Slow English Podcast. I'm Grace, and today we are going to talk about something that can change the way you learn English forever. It's called the 80-20 rule. Maybe you have heard about it before. Maybe you haven't. But today, I will show you exactly how this rule can help you learn English faster, with less effort, and with better results. So make yourself comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's begin. The 80-20 rule is also called the Pareto Principle. It was discovered by an Italian man named Vilfredo Pareto more than 100 years ago. He noticed something interesting. He saw that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by only 20% of the people. Then, people started to see this pattern everywhere. In business, 80% of sales come from 20% of customers. In life, 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your activities. And yes, in language learning, 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. Let me say that again. 80% of your English progress comes from just 20% of what you study. This means you don't need to learn everything. You don't need to know every word. You don't need to master every grammar rule. You only need to focus on the right 20%. And that 20% will give you 80% of the results you want. Sounds amazing, right? So let's see how this works in English learning. Let's start with words. How many English words do you think native speakers use every day? 50,000 words? 20,000 words? Actually, no. Studies show that native speakers use only about 1,000 to 2,000 words in daily conversation. Yes, you heard that right. Just 1,000 to 2,000 words. And guess what? Those words make up about 80% of everything we say. So, if you learn the most common 1,000 words in English, you can understand and speak in most everyday situations. You don't need to memorize 10,000 words. You don't need a huge dictionary in your head. You just need the right words, the useful words, the high-frequency words. For example, words like go, make, have. These simple words are everywhere, and when you know how to use them well, you can express so many ideas instead of learning rare words like magnificent or astonishing. Focus first on mastering common words. You can always learn fancy words later, but the common words, those are your foundation. Those are your 20%. Now let's talk about grammar. Grammar can feel scary. There are so many rules, so many exceptions, so many tenses. But here is the good news. You don't need all of them to communicate well. In fact, just a few grammar structures will cover 80% of your conversations. Let me give you examples. Simple present tense. I live in London. She works at a hospital. We like English. Present continuous. I am learning English. She is reading a book. They are watching a movie. Simple past. So instead of worrying about past perfect, continuous, or subjunctive mood, spend your time mastering these basic structures first. Make them automatic. Use them every day, and you will see huge progress. Listening is one of the most important skills in English. But many learners feel lost because they try to understand every single word. Here's the truth. You don't need to understand 100% to communicate well. if you understand 80% of what someone says, you can follow the conversation. You can respond. You can connect. And that 80% comes from knowing the most common words and phrases. So, when you practice listening, focus on listening to everyday topics. Understanding the main idea, not every detail. Repeating what you hear, shadowing. Don't listen to complex news or academic lectures if you are still a beginner or intermediate learner. Start with simple podcasts, easy YouTube videos, or slow English content. Why? Because this is your 20%. This is the content many learners want to speak perfectly. They are afraid of making mistakes. So, they don't speak at all. But here is a powerful truth. 80% of speaking confidence comes from practicing just 20% of common phrases. Let me repeat that. You don't need to speak like a professor. You don't need big vocabulary. You need common, useful phrases that work in real life. For example, how are you? I think. I agree. Can you repeat that? What do you mean? That's interesting. I don't understand. Could you help me? These phrases are simple, but they are powerful. And they work in 80% of conversations. So, instead of learning 100 advanced expressions, master 20 common ones. Use them every day. Make them natural. Make them part of you. And your speaking will improve fast. Now, let's talk about how you spend your time. Many learners spend hours doing grammar exercises. They read textbooks. They memorize long lists of words. But does this give them results? Sometimes, no. Why? Because they are not focusing on the right 20%. Here is what I want you to do. Spend 80% of your study time on active skills. What are active skills? Listening to real English, speaking out loud, shadowing, writing simple sentences, using English in real situations. And spend only 20% of your time on passive activities like reading grammar rules, doing exercises in a book, memorizing word lists. Why? Because active practice gives you real results. It makes English part of you. So if you study for 1 hour, let me share some mistakes I see all the time. Mistake 1, trying to learn everything. Some learners want to know every grammar rule. They want to understand every word in a movie. They want to be perfect. But this takes too much time and energy, and it can make you feel tired and frustrated. Remember, you don't need everything. You need the right things. Mistake 2, spending time on rare words. Some learners love learning difficult words. Words like serendipity or flabbergasted. Yes, these words are interesting, but do you use them every day? Probably not. Focus first on the common words. Then, later, you can add the fancy ones. Mistake 3, not using what they learn. Some learners study a lot, but they never speak. They never practice. Learning without using is like buying food and never eating it. You must use what you learn. Speak it. Write it. Make it real. Okay, my friends, so how can you start using the 80-20 rule today? Here are some simple steps. Step 1, identify your 20%. Ask yourself, What do I need English for? Do I need it for travel, for work, for movies, for friends? Then, focus on the vocabulary and phrases for that purpose. If you need English for travel, learn travel phrases first. If you need English for work, learn work-related expressions. Don't waste time on topics you don't need right now. Step 2. Use high-frequency words and phrases. Make a list of the 100 most common English words. Learn them, use them, master them. You can find these lists online. They are free, and they are powerful. Step 3. Practice actively, not passively. Stop reading grammar books for hours. Instead, listen to podcasts, speak out loud, shadow native speakers, write short sentences. This active practice is your 20% that gives 80% results. Step 4. Focus on one skill at a time. Don't try to improve everything at once. Choose one focus. This week, listening. Next week, speaking. Then, pronunciation. When you focus, you improve faster. Step 5. Track your progress. Write down what you learn. Notice your improvement. Celebrate small wins. This keeps you motivated, and motivation is part of the 20% that keeps you going. My friends, the 80-20 rule is not about being lazy. It's about being smart. It's about working on the things that matter most. It's about using your time and energy wisely. You don't need to know everything to speak English well. You just need to know the right things. Focus on common words, basic grammar structures, real-life listening and speaking practice, using what you learn. And remember, 20% of your effort can give you 80% of your results. So, stop trying to learn everything. Start focusing on the right things. Be smart, be focused, and watch your English improve faster than ever before. Here's what I want you to do today. Choose one thing from this episode, just one. Maybe it's learning 10 common words. Maybe it's practicing one grammar structure. Maybe it's listening to English for 10 minutes. Just pick one thing and do it today, because small, smart actions lead to big results. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of SEP, Slow English Podcast. I'm Grace, and I believe in you. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Until next time, my friends, bye for now.